My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. To go, please. It's currently 4:41 p.m. Engineer Light moving all inside of third-party facilitating venue Panda Express. This is terrorism that they're going to be prosecuted for. They're going to drain the pockets while the entity participates and facilitates terrorism commercially. All the employees are engaged in state surveillance representing communication devices. It is Title 18 criminal conduct. Alrighty, and the 1301. Oh, here you go. And getting in line behind me is a method of group stalking, which you will see a couple with a hat and another one on a cane. They're group stalking while engineered lights inside of the venue, fake signs over the venue. And I just, thank you very much. And I just captured substantial video showing the elements of monitoring and the demonic features of that terrorizing system. That's a demon moving a chair around to monitor. That's the psychopath, the mentally ill. Those are demons. Going to drain the pockets of Panda Express. This is not the only venue where Panda Express is engaged in state surveillance. I just so happen to be capturing it because it's across the street from the venue where I remain, where Panda Express is engaged in criminal surveillance inside of a private space. And that's Courtyard by Marriott, who's documented in Sherman Oaks, California, documented in Las Vegas, Nevada, and documented here in Monrovia, where there's no sun, also simultaneously seen outside over the parking lot or through my hotel window of even Town Place Marriott at Huntington and Myrtle. Don't forget about that, where the entity was stalking in helicopters, as I captured on video. This is the ongoing ceaseless engagement in group stalking and the entity's exposure for this system and continuous engagement for the whole world to recognize and identify and to be prosecuted beyond a reasonable doubt is revealing what the entity doesn't want you to know. Not only the fact that it's demonic, that they are demons, but the fact that this is mental illness exposed, okay? Engineer Light, while this demon DU 16107 with an out-of-state license plate crosses path. I'm going to take a picture of the wall space of the inside of Panda Express, whose cameras I'm referencing, and it's 4:43 p.m. Where this Engineer Light is captured. And I've captured this in tons and tons of restaurants. It's the same thing. Panda Express is not different. P.O.C. All right, capturing impossible light activity while the demon 8XYW626 is pacing with another demon. And you can see the engineer light on the wall. If you'll pay attention, you'll see the light that's moving, like highlighted mellow yellow light on the wall. It's impossible light while demons 9LLK523. Engineer light moving all cars, they're monitored. This is state surveillance that you're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. License 8YBR567. This is domestic terrorism in the state of California in the U.S. 8BQM780. Surveillance by stalking in their vehicle, waiting till I walk out to reverse out, which is stalking in the path with light activity under the fake sun, while engineered light ricochets all throughout the Panda Express, which I'm also capturing the fake sun through the window of Panda Express, which is establishing that Panda Express is indeed engaging in exactly what I allege, which is in conformity to a pattern of conduct. License plate. Engaging in surveillance sitting in their car. I'm going to get their license right now. 9GPF086. This demon engaging in surveillance in the parking lot in a white Lexus. This is a female. License 7XAA547. 9ESD248. 8VQE595. 8EZE305. 8EQY066. DD89F14. That's paper. License 9HSH558. License 8VDX927. License 8M, oh, I can't really see that one. This demon's license plate is 9DZS142. And DU16107, that's an out-of-state license plate engaging in terrorism by direct light, an African-American demon-possessed group stalker. All right, and that's an Illinois license plate. I just want to be clear. Black Lives Matter is a fiction in California. Black people are targeting black people. 9HZP104, RWR7995. 9JLP984, and they're doing it in concert with corrupt government actors such as the police departments, 9KPJ483, and they're both demons on the same team. KOKOMA4, like this is an Asian male in a black Mercedes, impossible light all over the building while he crosses path. 9HOD119, pacing with this demon and a green Acura, license 5GDS993. 6VCX132. License 6XYJ072, 7NTF115, 9DDK911, 6ZLT634. This is terrorism while you are surrounded by such a great the mentally ill who are stalking you. That's terrorism, and that is the conspiracy to murder and kidnap someone while the mentally ill are group stalking you with the government, by the way. License plate. And that's exactly what you're doing under the fake sun and engineer light. 99179F1, while committing a perpetual sex offense, and your demonic behavior results in engineer light, inexplicable light, demonic light touching all over your person, surrounding the surfaces all over where you're at, everywhere that you look, making your life an ongoing horror flick. That's terrorism by a corrupt government. That's acting via the demons. 9MLW667, 9JPS544, 8GZF250, 9DVS446, 8EZE305, 9EMB530, and by the way, it's equal opportunity with regard to the demon possessed. That was demonic pacing. Whole bunch of demons maintaining presence. License 7CMG681, all colors of the rainbow. Same exact demonic engineered light. Same exact presence under the fake sun. The evidence of the demon possessed who are stalking. Okay, license 7NTF115 again, license 36309E1, 8MCB471, Chili's restaurant is group stalking, everyone inside of the Huntington Oaks Center, which I captured on the Google Maps, just giving you a synopsis, a succinct snapshot, if you will, regarding everyone that's engaged in state surveillance while a fake sun is rising and setting over Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, California, which is to the exclusion, meaning there's no sun that could possibly be over anywhere in Nevada, let alone Las Vegas. Contrary to what I documented, both en route to and from Nevada. License 7BHP133. License 7BGX902. License 9KET449. License plate 9KHN746. They're engaging in surveillance, still just sitting there in the parking lot in the car, engaging in openly surveilling one whom they know is enforcing their rights. You go to federal prison for that. You're also a sex offender touching with engineered light. You're also engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet, all of which are independent bases to go to federal prison, and you're not just going for a weekend. License 9HXW335 8AYZ401. Let me capture this third party. Alrighty, capturing open surveillance in front of 690 West Huntington Drive. The fake sun is right over the building in perfect alignment with me, and you are recognizing how the demon-possessed are engaging in open criminal conduct as a malicious society. These are demons that are engaging in Satan's system of surveillance, which also includes not only the engineered environment, recognizing the significance of the movement in that environment, paying attention to the details such as the engineered light conduct, paying attention to the demons' aggressive behavior, which increases with regard to your knowledge of what they're doing and how they're doing it, speaking to what is federal stalking conduct. You're necessarily engaged in surveillance, you're necessarily engaged in knowledge, which is in violation of Title 18, 22618 subsections 1 and 2, while you practice federal stalking on the venue of the internet. Doing so on behalf of the government, whose criminal pattern of conduct is already established. This is where the state is stalking, so are the people of the state. Like I stated before at the outset, where the state is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, so are the people. The government is not doing it without the people, as the documentation shows, as the demon-possessed people of the state demonstrate unilaterally. They are fully engaged in the state's demonic system of federal group stalking and monitoring. License plate 8TAA288. And it's currently, by the way, 7:50 p.m. These videos will be published onto the venue of the internet, not only onto YouTube, but also Google Drive. All of these methods, all of the documentation showing what a demon-possessed population, and you need to know who are terrorists, and you're recognizing terrorism in the United States because Satan is practicing a malicious system in the U.S. where you are under the illusion that you're free and you're not. You don't have any privacy either. and the people of the state and the corrupt government who are acting directly, in other words, because the people of the state are the government. License 820CREW, and that's Arizona. They are the state. They are engaging in what is appearing to be in a substantially similar position as a targeted individual, meaning they're free. They can go anywhere they want to as well. And they don't know you. They're not even talking to you, focused on you. All of these misconceptions regarding what federal group stalking and monitoring is, what group stalking is, who's engaging in it, and how they engage in it. All of this is speaking to, again, the malice with which terrorism is underway in America. And demonstrating impunity, you will go straight to federal prison. This is a Caucasian male molesting my thighs, my legs with engineer light, 9AA19N, that's Arizona. 8XTC666, engineer light, Asian female, same demonic behavior, 6GUN339, white, overweight female, engineer light, same exact conduct, 3 different races, 9KPP117. Okay, the engineer light focused on where I'm located, whatever side of their vehicles that I'm on. You're recognizing how the demons are stalking, how you recognize that, first of all, they're demons, secondly, they're stalking. All right, and they're doing so on behalf of the entity that's not mysterious at all. It's on behalf of the state. All right, so Armstrong is across the street. You have what is Huntington Drive. This is and the 210 freeway. That's massive surveillance that this entity is engaging in. License 7FBK767, 7FCN416, GDUSAND. And you're also recognizing what will be maintained by the Department of Justice. Terrorism in the United States, domestic terrorism that the government is engaging in and who it's engaging in, they will be published as terrorists, just like any other Osama bin Laden coming from abroad, engaging in terrorism in this country. 6YJU248, 8ZPX263, engaging in un-American conduct with an American license plate on it, 9DRR935. And by American, I mean American flag pattern while they engage in un-American conduct. That's what the demons do in California. It is currently, and by the way, I said 3 races. Those are 2 races, and multiple, more than one sex. You have a white man, and then you have white women, and you have Asian women, and they're engaging in the same demonic behaviors. It is currently, again, 4:52 p.m. This is P.O.C. All of this is occurring while I went into Panda Express. My payment, I'm going to publish that because that's evidence of my presence where the state system is underway. So all I'm doing is documenting it, but the P.O.C. is underway. I don't even have to capture podcast, but I want you to see the face of the demon possession. You to recognize who serves Satan and has nothing to do with their race or their age, what they're driving, what language they speak, how tall they are, what country they originate from. If any of them are not natural born citizens, they're going right back to wherever they came from, including the government. Government actors, police departments, they're going to be treated just like every other terrorist. Okay, it is currently 4:53 p.m. on August 11, 2024. That was massive impunity that obsessed demons are engaging in. They're obsessed. 9KLV694. And they also maintain knowledge of when my panties are down. All right, those are sex offenders that engage in the same demonic pacing all around. Oh, she's taking her clothes off. Oh, we're going to amplify all about it. It's impossible to hear the 210 freeway. You can hear my voice now. You cannot hear any amplified traffic. If it's so loud that it's reaching into the 5th floor of the hotel room, then you would not even be able to hear me if there's such a competition. It's not commensurate. Those are demons that are aware of when you're nude, when you're engaging in private conduct. To engage in surveillance, that's outside of your criminal system. If you're so concerned about what's on my cell phone, well, I don't even have my cell phone on when my panties are down in the bathroom. So what's your interest? What are you consumed with? Why are you so obsessed? Why are you still stalking? Why are you engaging in demonic methods of stalking when you know that I'm physically nude? And you also know that by the specific environment. The fake sun is over my hotel room. The fake sun remains over that hotel, directly over me as I documented stepping out during the 4 o'clock hour. To the outright departure stating that Sherman Oaks is fully engaged in state surveillance. That's why I captured that impossibility in Sherman Oaks. The two are not occurring at the same time. None of it's occurring while so-called sun is in its zenith over me in perfect alignment with my windows, my windshields, while I am driving on the streets in Las Vegas, where it was rising and setting. En route over me while I'm on the freeway. That's nowhere near Monrovia off of the 210. You're talking about what is recognizing a pattern of conduct, and it is unmistakable. That's recognizing a sex offender that doesn't want to be known. That sexual violence, that obsessive, predatory, sexually violent aspect of what the entity is engaging in while they're demons, that they don't want you to know the fact that they're demon possessed. They don't want you to know the fact that you are the center of everything that they're doing, including while you're nude, including while you're engaged in any private or personal activity. That's a sex offender. And that's also the mentally ill. That's the psychopath that doesn't want you to know about their mental illness. That is what is walking and roaming the streets states in this country. And there's no mystery regarding all of what the people of the state are reporting to you on the news about unsolved crimes and about the supposed alleged senseless acts of violence that the people of the state are engaging in. These are demons engaging in this criminal conduct. This is what Satan is doing. This is the reality, because no one is addressing the spiritual context regarding what every human being is. You're a spirit, all right? And what's operating on the inside of you manifests outwardly in your behavior and your decision making. And in the secular, it is referred to as narcissism. It's referred to as psychopathy. It's referred to as sociopaths. Those are the people that are engaging in that conduct. And by the way, any such diagnoses do not address your demon-possessed conduct, which is directly affecting the mental illness, which is revealed through the behaviors that you engage in, the decision making, the ways in which your mind is warped. License 7YMX867 while a demon comes down the back alley to monitor. That's a demon on a bike. License 8DCV269 is also monitoring. So this is revealing the mentally ill that are trying to maintain that as a secret. They're also maintaining the fact that they're violent sex offenders that are engaging in a criminal system with a corrupt government. They're not being prosecuted for being predators and for being sex offenders, while they are including practicing law in law enforcement, in the medical field, giving birth to babies, having access to children, having children of their own, while they are concealing this mindset, concealing this criminal conduct. This criminal conduct in and of itself is demonstrating a public safety concern to themselves, to each other, and to children. License 9FLB592. License 9BZP548. Just taking a drive down the alley to group stalk. An engineer light moves all across in the shade. License, just like you saw in the video. 8VIA744. These are demons. 9AA19N. A stalker, the same white male, a demon-possessed one, who will go home to his wife or girlfriend or whatever it is that he lays down with, and both of them are demon-possessed sex offenders having access, unlimited access to minor children. 9FHC935. That's what's going to be addressed under federal prosecution. That's why you're going to be published as terrorists in the United States. Recognizing what is irrefutable evidence that the United States, California, and Nevada, demonstrating what's going on in this country, they're practicing domestic terrorism, and it is unconstitutional. This old minion, 7KYN146, this psychopath with a black and white striped shirt, she's like 89 years old, group stalking, just like you saw Kumley and the rest of those demons at Alvarado Gardens, while a fake son is over in Monrovia. That's why they're all going to federal prison. 8RBT670, 8NBX547, 7ERS846. Everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. As you saw, the old and the young, equally demon-possessed, equally obsessed, equally sexually violent, equally equally engaged in psychopathic conduct. That's the population that I'm documenting right now. How do I capture that? First of all, it's a scientific impossibility, but how do you have a pattern? Because it's speaking to the condition. It's a different person, in other words, a different vessel, same personality, same condition, same demon-possessed personality. Okay, where you have engineered light while you're driving, such as USPS, using their hazard lights while they're pacing in the parking lot, monitoring with these demons, CGJ8711. The head of the USPS is going to be exposed. 7ZPT454, BU90L42 paper in CGJ8711, that's Washington. All right, so the head of the United States Postal Service, the postmaster, if you will, they are not ignorant while every demon-possessed, group stalking, USPS delivery, man or woman is engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. The postmaster is aware of it. 8HYM176. License plate. 8EJX241. This is a criminal act. It's revealing the times. This is what Satan is doing now. Okay, Satan's operation of some system that you're looking for the signs of, it's already in operation. That's what the P.O.C. is revealing. This is revealing a prosecution of Satan, who's using a government to engage in unconstitutional, state and federal violations, existing federal statutes in violation while you're engaged in state surveillance and federal stalking. You're witnessing a prosecution, and it's also simultaneously exposing what Satan is already doing right now. License 8WDP468. License 7YFP041. And these are those, they're going to burn in hell. I'm not going to mince words. They're going to burn in hell if they do not repent. License, and they're also going to be prosecuted. I'm going to prosecute them right now. If they don't repent, they're going straight to hell. 7DAD297, they serve Satan. This is the work of Satan. License plate, 7GWS185. License plate, 9GNV189. This is the work of Satan. This is not having a bad day. This is, oh, I'm just going to give in. No, you're talking about engineered light under the fake sun. You're talking about demonic behaviors. The only people who are monitoring are demon-possessed people. 9GNV189. P.O.C. That's speaking to a condition that you need deliverance from. But that deliverance is not going to rescue you from a federal prosecution or federal prison or that criminal record which the DOJ is going to maintain. It is currently, again, 5 p.m. on the dot. This is P.O.C. Okay, another Panda Express employee. I want to make sure I got it. I believe I did. Just want to reiterate. Engaging in surveillance, group stalking by sitting in the parking lot in their car. License 8VQE595, and the other license plate over here is 8WQH775. Again, this documentation is not exclusive to Panda Express. This is prosecuting the people of the state. Every restaurant, everybody inside of this shopping plaza, everybody that's on the freeway, the 210 freeway. In other words, it's even beyond the immediate radius of what I've referred to as relevant positioning for what is state surveillance, where communication devices are represented by every person who is indeed engaging in what is a demonic system of stalking. That is group stalking, and it's a government system. License 5MDK493. So I'm capturing what is the evidence of what the greater population is engaging in, and it's in conformity to a well-documented POC. All right, that's a prosecution of the state as I go to any location and I can establish the same criminal system is underway. And that's impossible that you can do that because the sun, based on the nature, based on the identification of the crime scene. So you're talking about the light source that's supposedly the sun. You're talking about the ability to capture the scientific impossibility where you have a pattern regarding this scientific impossibility. That is the evidence of a system. A statewide system, even as I drive to another state, cross state lines, and I show you the same exact pattern of conduct. So what, pray tell, were the Nevada State Police crossing path while I was in the state of Nevada? What was over my head, directly over my sunroof? License T718BV. That was the light source, and that's the identification of what is an unmistakable and ceaseless engagement in the pattern of conduct. It is also revealing public corruption simultaneously. These are demons who are in the role of government actors who are stalking American citizens, and they're engaged in public corruption because they do it with the people of the state, who unilaterally, as I stated, and as the documentation shows, breaking down the whole system because the people of the state are fully documented engaging in demonic behaviors while they're stalking you under that same light source, which is a scientific impossibility. That is connecting all the dots. That's my car. You can discard that. Let me see if I can turn that down. While I'm capturing the pattern of conduct that is underway amongst an entity, the entity with regard to public corruption, for group stalking, as it's referred to ordinarily, group stalking is a government system, and group stalking is demonic at its core. So this is a prosecution for public corruption, and if you understand what public corruption is, this is where you have a corrupt society. That's what the people of the state represent. The government is not just corrupt. The government is corrupt in relying on the criminal engagement with the constituents of the state, and it's revealing many, many illusions. The fact that we are not free under the constitutional provisions that we have, it's an illusion. You do not have any privacy. The demons who are engaged in group stalking are fully aware of everything that's supposed to be private, that they have no probable cause or reasonable suspicion to have any knowledge or to be engaged in monitoring either. And while they abuse things such as the watch list, the entity abusing things that are created under Congress. These are things all the way up to the national government, which is to be exposed. You're abusing the use of things such as terrorist watch lists or maintaining watch lists where the targeted individual is placed on such watch lists, and that's supposed to be the outward guise under which police departments and the people of the state are group stalking. This is, I want to be clear, the skeletal aspect regarding how the corrupt governments are engaging in surveillance, and it includes under the provisions, under the creations of our national government, such as terrorist watch lists, where the targeted individual is no such terrorist whatsoever. The targeted individual is made into a terrorist, is created into whatever that entity wants to make. And it is literally in the ways that I've already documented and I've already exposed, creating the documentation that would establish any sort of mental illness, creating the documentation that would create any sort of criminal record, any sort of court hearings, establishing even when it didn't even happen, or even when the entity is engaging in what is making it up. And so, in other words, the target individual is actually sitting in a court somewhere and they're engaging in this fictitious prosecution while the target individual is subject to a state system. That's the greater context. It needs to be known that under such so-called terrorist lists, which this is not a coincidence. So this is what I'm stating again. You do not have a coincidental engagement in a pattern of conduct under such national constructs such as the creation of terrorist lists. It's impossible. It's unreasonable to suggest that. I have shown the foundational The foundational basis upon you're recognizing the pattern of conduct. You're not marrying yourself to an image. You are looking at the elements. The elements are always underway. Where you see one, it's revealing, and logic also dictates, and that is also actually the case. All the other elements are present as well. It's a matter of recognizing how are they present. In addition to the demonic features, you have the demonic features there. Even when the entity tries to but fails, because there's no natural way to engage in amplification. Amplification is always underway, even if the demon is right next door to you. What the demons are doing, which is group stalking you, it is always amplified in volume, which is inherently harassing, which is serving for massive facilitation. If this is the pattern of conduct, and you have this underway under the provision of the national government, terrorist lists, the states are abusing these and putting targeted individuals who are being, in other words, discriminated for. And let me be clear, it's satanic at its root. This is speaking to, like I said from the beginning, from the top all the way down. So things that are created by our Congress and the Senate, the things that are our presidents, things that the legislative branch they're creating, it's being abused by the state governments, and that's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. There is no coincidence with regard to the placement of the light source over the United States Supreme Court when my documentation shows that it's remaining over me all day long. There's only one sun. There is no coincidence. It's revealing what Satan is doing already in this country, and Satan's been doing it for a very long time. It will continue to increase. It will continue to intensify. It will continue to engage in becoming more and more aggressive, which I show at a micro level, while the demons surround me and they're hostile because I'm speaking to the fact that they are indeed demons. In addition, they're not just demons, they're stalking. They're stalking as a population. And you're able to identify them by their demonic behaviors. All right, so this is speaking to the P.O.C. It's 5:08 p.m. The entity engaging in surveillance in the parking lot, 1MC7945. This is the parking lot at Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia. Remember, where the entity is engaging in group stalking, any location. So I went across the street. Courtyard by Marriott is fully engaged in the P.O.C. This is where the fake sun is rising in the morning, as I documented at 7:49 just the other day. Remember, in Arcadia, California, where the light source is hovering so low that it's in alignment with my first floor level apartment of that short building structure of Motel 6 in Arcadia. And I went right to the state of Nevada and captured the same exact time while the light source is over me in Las Vegas, Nevada at Courtyard by Marriott. And while I'm at Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, California, not in Arcadia, not at Alvarado Gardens, standing in the living room of apartment 1806 North Alvarado, apartment number 6 in Los Angeles, not at the Open Family Community Library in the parking lot at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:45, capturing the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police Department, openly stalking, Satan convinced that no one's ever going to know how they're engaging in it, and because in the natural, all you see is somebody sitting in their car. Okay, assuming that no one's ever going to connect the dots and that you are not going to know what they're doing. That's called malice and impunity. You go to federal prison for that. Those same demons engage in the exercise of fictitious authority. That's what the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department engaged in. Everybody that arrived at that scene is going to federal prison. They engage in murdering people on the job. And then controlling the narrative, stating that the target individual, even if they did lose control, you never had authority to pull them over. They never cease to be the criminal. They're murdering people while they're engaging in state surveillance. They're defaming people and kidnapping people while you're engaged in state surveillance. It's a kidnapping, not a lawful arrest under any doctrine where actual law, legal authority exists with regard to law enforcement agencies under state and federal constitutions. You don't have probable cause when you're stalking. It doesn't exist. Okay, so you're talking about delusional demons, drunk off power. And at this point, you're talking about delusional to where the entity that I just documented, Panda Express, that's what Lowe's, PetSmart, the 76 gas station, the demon-possessed population that's engaging in group stalking on a freeway, the 210 freeway, and the entire property of Alvarado Gardens. You know what they were doing, and you know what the demons of the LAPD and what Dominic Choi knows about and is directly engaged in. The entity is engaging in telling on itself, and everybody that's being prosecuted will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of existing federal laws and laws to come into existence. Justice requires it. All right, so I just want to point that out. I went across the street. Courtyard by Marriott is fully engaged with the P.O.C. And these demons that I'm capturing on video with engineered light, those are the demons that are group stalking on the 5th floor all around me in hotel rooms, engaged in federal stalking, slamming their doors to harass me because they know about the video evidence that I'm publishing on a YouTube. A facilitating venue, by the way. Those are the same demons that add comments to your website or to your Facebook page when you're publishing, and this is going to be prosecuted. It's not independent free speech, it's state speech. It's a venue on the internet, and the entity will be prosecuted to the fullest extent. These demons hop on the internet where they know what you're publishing, and they're also harassing, defaming, terrorizing, in other words, as an entity aware of what it is that you're exposing about their criminal system. You're delusional if you think you're not getting away with that. You will be going to federal prison. The entity engaged in criminal defamation, you defame. Well, the P.O.C, you're going to federal prison. Understand how that's a threat to the liberty of the target individual. The demon possessed, they engage in that on a daily basis. All they do is call the police who are stalking you. The police make up information. If the facts don't exist to a degree that they can twist it to whatever advantage that they want, to abuse the laws that they don't even have actual authority under. They don't have it. They don't even have it. You don't have it under any facts. You never had the right to arrive. You're stalking with the people. It's called criminal summoning. They make up information. You engage in criminal defamation, you go to federal prison. You engage in kidnapping upon federal group stalking and monitoring, because that's what it is. You go to federal prison. You're engaging in creating, putting the names of target individuals on terrorist lists, so that because you are delusional and unaware of the fact, lacking the foresight and the ability, which is providence from the Lord on high, that your entire criminal system is going to be outlined, detailed, and itemized regarding the ways in which the tactics employed to keep an American citizen under surveillance while it is a public corruption in plain sight. And that is, by the way, the maintenance of a terrorist organization, of a terrorist list that the state is maintaining. And this is the ground. This is why we're flying over the target individuals, the so-called target individuals' apartment 35 times a day. That does not substantiate that. And it will always supersede the irrebuttable presumption of public corruption, where the specific environment is established, where the pattern of stalking by the state is established, and some list that the entity is putting the target individual's name. That's not helping you. It's exposing public corruption in the ways in which it's employed. You will be prosecuted. Okay, that's what that's leading to. So I'm going to put that out there right now. The entity that's engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking, they conspire to take your property. They conspire to kidnap you, criminally defame you as insane. And they conspire to, if not take your life. Group stalking, criminal surveillance, there's no reason why the entity would be engaging in stalking and doing so in methods that are entirely demonic, but for engaging to murder you, maintain a narrative regarding why you took your life, if they have the facts to twist that, and then doing so while wanting to either kidnap you in a facility. All right. So it is currently, let me show you stalking by helicopter, because everybody at Courtyard is going to federal prison. That's MONROVIA police. Alan San Victoris is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. Alrighty, I just captured video of the demonic engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, and I'm also showing you how there is actually less discrimination and racism than you would expect, especially amongst the demon-possessed, who don't want you to know about the ways in which they are in alliance with one another. As you will see, an African-American male group stalking me with a demon-possessed terrorist organization, that is the MONROVIA police, and a Caucasian family group stalking me, serving Satan, both demon-possessed, same demonic environment, under the fake sun that's over me at the same address where I'm present at 7:49 in the morning, and the entity is engaging in the hallmark of stalking in helicopters. You're recognizing the outward engagement in criminal conduct. And why is the entity doing that? What did the demons of the LAPD and Dominic Choi demonstrate? As soon as I speak to something that they are wildly fearful of, they engage in direct conduct. The people of the state are engaging in vicarious conduct on behalf of the state on an ongoing basis. So when I'm speaking to you about what the national government has created for the criminal purposes of the state, such as maintaining terrorist lists, where you're putting innocent American citizens' names on them so that you can stalk and terrorize them, like I just captured on video right now, that the federal government knows exactly what they're doing, and it's pointing directly to every fire department, every hospital, the people of the state themselves, and also every police department and sheriff's department. All of that is simultaneously exposed while the entity engages in the hallmark. Also the pattern within the pattern. As I point out, the truth that I speak, in other words, so the demons are provoked to their own demise. You're going to federal prison. The demon that arrived in that video stalking in a helicopter, you're going to federal prison. Such demonic and terrorizing tactics of keeping an American citizen under surveillance while they abuse things, materials and items such as terrorist lists, putting innocent American citizens' names on there, having no lawful right to do so because they serve Satan. This is how Satan is engaging in targeting those, especially those who belong to the Lord Jesus. The children of God, they're being placed on terrorist lists, and they're being kept under surveillance by demon-possessed terrorist organizations who lack any state or federal constitutional bases to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking, in concert with a demon-possessed population who are fully revealed as the people of the state. That's the whole system. And the entity showed up in helicopter right on time. You're understanding the entirety of that pattern of conduct, and it is literally the demons continuously stating amen as I expose their criminal conduct. That's what I captured on video. It's exposing terrorists whose names are fully identified and known, readily known, which you need to rehearse them, because Alan Sanvictoris, he's preparing to be publicly removed and also removed from law enforcement. The inability to ever cover or carry a weapon, understand the public safety concern, the mental illness, the covert criminal conduct, such criminal activity and that criminal record, you're not going to be able to carry a weapon anyway. But I'm letting you know, you can analyze the criminal conduct and the personality of one that would engage in this, the level of malice that is practiced, speaking to a threat to themselves, to each other, and to children. No demon possessed, no third party, no group stalker, no domestic terrorist, in other words, will ever be able to maintain a firearm. If you're in law enforcement, you'll be done with law enforcement. If you're not a natural born citizen in law enforcement, you're going to be prosecuted and you're going to be deported. Period. You're not going to be treated like any other, treated different than any other demon that's out here accepting welfare while they're group stalking me in an apartment complex. You're going to be treated just like them because they're not different. There is no honor amongst these demons. They're criminals, and this is malice. It's public corruption. They've been given positions, they've been given honor, they've been given discretion, that it is a threat to American society that they have it. This is balancing things out. What Satan is doing amongst a corrupt entity needs to be exposed and prosecuted. It is currently 5:23 p.m. Again, it is currently Sunday, August 11, 2024. Courtyard by Marriott will be prosecuted for what I just captured on video. That's openly engaging in terrorism. The entity is doing so while I'm subject to 24-hour surveillance. That's a sex offender. Alan Sanvictoris, you need to know, is a sex offender. Okay? Alan Sanvictoris is a demon-possessed stalker, obsessed with me because that demon on him knows exactly who I am. That's how you have a pattern of conduct practiced by a department. And it's not just Alan Sanvictoris. It's not just the demon in that helicopter. It's the entire department. This is fully exposing what Satan is doing amongst a government. You don't have just a few that are, no, it's the entire, and it's a pattern of conduct demonstrated by, if you just isolated the criminal conduct to the state, the police departments are engaging in a pattern. The sheriff's departments are engaging in that same exact pattern. The demons that are driving the ambulances, the same exact pattern. What was driving the Falk ambulance? Well, you know what it was. The fake sun was over me while I'm inside of the hotel room at Town Place Suites by Marriott in Monrovia, California, facing a specific direction. Okay, that is Myrtle and Huntington. At a specific time of day. At no time of day is the sun ever going to be there while it's over me in Las Vegas, Nevada, while it's en route over my head, en route to Nevada, remaining in Nevada, rising over me at my location in Nevada, and remaining over me en route back to California. How is it going to be over the Courtyard by Marriott at this time? How is it going to be the sun that's over Courtyard by Marriott at this hour at 5 o'clock after 5 p.m. and I'm outside of my window at 7:49 in the morning? There's the sun. That's stagnated, stationary. That's not the sun. These are demons. It's exposing wide, pervasive, existing, secret corruption. The entity is engaging in this conduct with full knowledge. They're sex offenders keeping me under surveillance. They know when I'm naked. They know when I'm relieving myself. They are obsessed with that. They are obsessed with it. They know when I'm publishing information onto the internet regarding their criminal conduct, which they are hostile based on their criminal activity in violation of Title 18, but also their condition. Psychopaths that are demon possessed, and you're angry because your criminal conduct is being exposed. Just like any other ordinary stalker that will be prosecuted in a local court, the mind state behind that criminal activity. My stalker is enraged because I filed for a restraining order against them, and they increasingly, they continue to engage in increasingly violent and threatening conduct. That judge in that court would directly consider that evidence, and their mind state is directly brought into question. It's brought into that controversy, necessary. It's automatic. It is axiomatic. The mind state is a part of that prosecution. It's exposed. It is simultaneously revealed while you engage in the criminal conduct. You're talking about a whole population A whole population of mentally unstable, demon-possessed stalkers who don't want you to know that they're obsessed with you, that they're stalking you, that they're demon-possessed, that demon-possessed condition is relevant to the environment that you're around, the behavior that they engage in, and the reasons why they engage in it, which is not logical. It's based on their condition, okay? This is spiritual in its origin, but it's criminal in the natural. So it's not impervious to prosecution or identification. You can very well get probable cause if the federal government has the basis to establish probable cause to investigate the state for federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking based on the demonic environment. All right. So anyway, that's what the evidence the entity just provided. And you're going to rewind the tape back. What is it that I'm talking about what I'm talking about while the entity engages in providing evidence against themselves, against everybody that's going to federal prison at Courtyard by Marriott, against the entity that I just documented at Panda Express. This is the same criminal system against the LAPD, against the entire property of Alvarado Gardens and speaker companies. They're all going to federal prison. This is what the entity does. That's the mentally ill that do that. But these are the repercussions. These are the consequences for engaging in such a massive system. You're not able to engage in the criminal conduct without telling on everyone else. And that's that's just inherent to documentation. And the documentation of federal group stalking monitoring is so substantial. You are able to readily identify. It's literally providing a tutorial to the feds regarding what the entity does. Even the reasons why. You can analyze the mind state, why they're doing what they do at the moment that they do it. That's what the P.O.C. provides. So anyway, it's currently 5:28 p.m. That video and this podcast is going to be published today, again, Sunday, August 11, 2024. This is the terrorism that I'm subject to while I remain inside of my hotel room, and the terrorism that I'm subject to while I just go across the street to get a meal. It's not different than just going to a drive-thru and what flies over my head, demons in a helicopter, just to get a meal. I can't sit at work. Demons are stalking me in helicopters while I go to work. Demons are stalking me in my home. Demons, they're not content even when I'm homeless. They've engaged in surveillance and harassment and terrorism of my entire life, such that I can't practice law as an attorney in peace. Being unlawfully released. There's no statute of limitations. You will be found. You're going to find yourself subject to a federal prosecution. This is the same criminal system that they're engaging in. The demons engaging in violence in the workplace, even as a practicing attorney. And do you know why you have that? It's foolish on its level. It's very foolish to do it to an attorney. Okay, an attorney knows their rights. They know their way around a courtroom. Do you know why the entity has such audacity? Because you're facing the government. The government is convinced that it can do. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you think you are. The government is going to create who you are. The government's going to create what you did. The government's going to create the basis upon which whatever happened to you happened. That's why they engage in that. Now, on this side of the evidence, it's very foolish. But on that side, that's the audacity, that's the treachery of Satan. That's the personality of Satan. That's the public safety concern. That's the animus of terrorist leaders such as Alan Sanvictorus, whose department is engaging in a pattern of conduct, which is speaking to what every fire department, what every hospital, and the demons driving the ambulances, they're fully engaging in. It's a statewide system. And as I go across state lines and show you what the state of Nevada is engaging in, you're understanding what is a nationwide system. As the entity is operating and abusing things provided by the national government, such as terrorist lists, where innocent people's names are being placed on while the government is keeping them under surveillance, which, by the way, in and of itself is not a basis. And again, absent corrupt courts, I would be representing my client. That in and of itself is not a basis substantiating this outright stalking in helicopters. That's not enough to establish a basis to engage in outright stalking in helicopters. But you understand what is required. You are necessarily corrupt as a courthouse. There's no other way that this system can exist. It cannot. I'm exposing a corrupt system. A corrupt system. There's no anomaly. There's no exception. It is beyond what you can fathom. The P.O.C. provides evidence to substantiate everything that I'm contending. And it is a system. It is system-wide, from the police to the sheriff, to the court, to the demon-possessed government actors. Who is putting these chief of police in place? Who's putting these judges in the seats that they have? The governor. And I'm going to leave it there. It's currently 5:31 p.m. It's Sunday, August 11, 2024. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 5:38 p.m. So I want to document the people of the state engaged in federal group stalking monitoring with the police department. That's the basis of federal prison. License ET462 handicap 8DFY260 8JLB761 8GIP880 CWT0032. That's Arizona. 9HSS538 9GBB106. Foothill Transit is crossing path. They're systematically doing so on what is Huntington, and Foothill Transit is fully engaged in state surveillance with the corrupt police departments. There's a bus stop right here in a relevant position. They're systematically engaging in crossing a path, light activity, and impossible light activity. Foothill Transit is heavily documented. They're engaging in state surveillance, not the legitimate operation of a use of a business. It's bus number F2119, by the way, crossing path right now. 9BYU695, BHB8177, that's Tennessee. 8XLF877, 6LPV540, 9GIZ933, 9DNL978, 9AXN166, 9BDH794. This is Utah, T574DF, 9LRE175, SWAGNBY. This is a handicap with a torn paper plate. For an entity engaged in state surveillance and federal stalking, that's not an accident or a coincidence. 9MCS941, 9FIA215, 9JLZ588. This is where the African American was group stalking with Monrovia police and helicopter. One of these vehicles is the one that he was standing around, at least. License 58LP451. And the paper plate is CZ39H81. I think I read this one, 9AXN166, in case I didn't. RPW248, that is New Mexico. 7UQA097, 9CWE646, 9LPM980. And it's currently, by the way, 5:40 p.m. It's documenting relevant positioning of those that are at the closest location surrounding me, engaging in state surveillance in concert with the rest of the people. RHCJ72, and that's Florida, in concert with the rest of the people who are, again, the criminal misuse, the malice of the entity that's engaging in surveillance by the operation of their business, their store, their restaurant, their gas station. They're all engaged in federal stalking and group stalking with the entity that's flying over the specific environment in helicopters. And I literally captured that on video. This is where they're engaging in the operation of the use of their business where the sun rises and sets. That's identifying the malice of the population that is practicing the satanic system of federal group stalking and monitoring in America. All right, license plate. Impossible light, just like you saw at Courtyard by Marriott in what is Las Vegas, Nevada. And it looks like the same demon that was group stalking at the one at Sherman Oaks. 8ROB8. TCP 44385B is the number on the bottom of that black Suburban. Group stalking with the people of the state and engineer light is touching. Monitoring with RRC E49, that's Florida. All right, that's all on the watch of Courtyard by Marriott, home and to prosecute as sex offenders and terrorists. That's why I can go across state lines and the same criminal system is underway by Courtyard by Marriott, who is a terrorist as opposed to a legitimate business, and providing a basis or grounds whereby this criminal system, which is the ongoing conspiracy to murder and kidnap someone, that's what Courtyard Marriott is actually engaging in. That's P.O.C. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you today?
I'm excellent. Have a good day. It is currently 5:42. That's called crossing a path while I get on the elevator. And that is, again, a third-party group stalker that is masquerading as an employee, exercising any privacy rights, which you're not. It's called facilitation, a systematic means of facilitation. That's an independent basis of federal prison. All right, that's P.O.C. It's currently 5:42 p.m.